So today's video is definitely going to be on the long side, but I promise it's going to be worth it. Here's a taste of what you can expect over the next 25 to 30 minutes. This computer is, oh no. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's right, today I'm going to be trying my hand as a MacBook refurbisher. I received a box, quite literally a box full of MacBooks that have been rescued from the brink of death, and what we are going to do today is try to fix them for free. Sounds simple? Well, actually I guess it doesn't really sound simple, but hopefully it will be somewhat simple. I guess we'll find out. The length of this video will probably be an indicator of whether or not it was simple. But regardless, everything that I'm going to be doing today in this video is stuff that you could do at home yourself with simple tools. My go-to repair kit is the iFixit Protect Toolkit. I've been using this thing for like 4 years, and they were kind enough to sponsor today's video. In fact, they reached out and they said, "Hey, Luke, do you need any parts or any additional tools?" And I said, "No, don't send me anything, because I'm gonna do all of this with a screwdriver, some lens cleaning fluid, and a little bit of ingenuity." So if you're interested in doing a project just like this for yourself, make sure to subscribe, because this is hopefully something that we could do again, and you can find links to iFixit's resources in the description below. So without any further ado, let's fix up some MacBooks. So, what I have in front of me today, quite simply, is a box full of MacBooks. So the goal for today is going to be unpacking and testing these, and hopefully we can get most of them completely restored. That's going to be the goal, and I don't know if that's going to be realistic, but we're going to find out. Alright, so the first thing that we have is a bag with spare parts. So it looks like there are some plastic hinge covers, there's a couple sticks of RAM, some hard drive data cables, track pads, bottom feet, ooh, case screws. That's going to be very helpful. Okay, so the first couple of laptops on top appear to not actually have any logic boards in them, so these are potentially useful for spare parts like top cases, screens. This screen looks to be pretty good, so hopefully we'll have some donor parts. That's really nice to have. Okay, so the first, what feels like a complete laptop, and I'm gonna assume that this person, I guess they were just a fan of colleges. So we have a logic board, we have a battery, we don't have a hard drive, we don't have RAM. The bottom case has definitely seen better days. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. Okay, wow, this is gonna need a cleaning. Holy moly, that is a dirty laptop. Here's the second one. Looks like we've got a crack in the clutch cover. Most of the feet are missing. The bottom case is really, really bad. And let's see, so no RAM again. This time we do have a hard drive, we do have a battery. What's interesting is the hard drive has a manufacturing date here of July 2014. Now that actually makes a lot of sense, because these mid-2012s were sold up until 2016, so a lot of them aren't quite as old as you would think. As you would expect for computers being rescued from a recycling center, condition is not very good. We've got yet another absolutely annihilated clutch cover. Ooh, this display is super crooked. Oh geez, this computer is, oh no. Oh yeah, okay, the hinges snapped. So this display is pretty much toast. Even though the glass isn't cracked or anything, it's like, oof, that's not good. No RAM, no hard drive. We do have a battery, do have a logic board. That's good. Next up, yet another one that looks to be, this one's actually better than some of the other ones, but once again, the bottom cases are just absolutely shredded. Okay, this one's got a cracked display. Trackpad looks to be pushing up. Also, this is a European style keyboard. That's cool, I've never actually seen one of those. No battery. If I had to guess, this battery has been removed because of swelling. We do have a logic board, we don't have RAM, we don't have a hard drive. Once again, worn, And on the inside, honestly, this one looks pretty clean. Okay, we got not very much wear on the keyboard. Trackpad clicks. Display hinges feel pretty tight. Okay, we've got a full computer here. We got RAM, we got hard drive, we got a battery. That one, this is probably the best one yet. Oh no. Ooh. Ooh. Oh no, I don't even want to, oh, why am I touching this? Oh my God, I'm gonna have to wash my hands. This is revolting. Oh God, okay, it's not a whole lot better inside, to be honest. Hey, at least it's got RAM, it's got a hard drive. How much RAM does it have? It's 4 gigs, but yeah, it's whatever. This is probably the only bottom case that's not completely, like, totaled, weirdly enough. I mean, obviously, it needs a bit of help, but it should actually be salvageable, which is nice. Okay, already I'm noticing big corner dent on the display. We got another cracked clutch cover. Let's open it up. Okay, so no trackpad. Fortunately, we have some spare trackpad, so I think we'll be okay. Alrighty, what do we got here? Okay, this bottom case is damaged, but not horribly so. We only have 1 stick of RAM, but we do have a hard drive, 500 gigs. We do have a battery. That is definitely good to see. Okay, this one, ooh, definitely beat up. This bottom case is not really gonna fit. We do have a battery. We don't have any RAM. Okay, now the lid is definitely not, oh man. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That screen is pretty shattered and we're missing the trackpad, so that's not great. Okay, folks, this is it. This is the last MacBook. And once again, bottom covers are just not really doing it here. We do have a little, what is that, an elephant sticker on the lid. I think it's fair to say that even if we do get a lot of these repaired, they're not gonna be pristine examples. Now, okay, that's actually fine. Okay, look at that. Internally, this computer looks pretty fine. Not a ton of wear on the keyboard. The screen isn't cracked. And we do have a trackpad that clicks, so that's good to see. So let's do a final tally here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 MacBooks with logic boards, and then we have 3 donor machines that we can use for parts. We also have a bag of parts with clutch covers and trackpads. So yeah, I think the next step is going to be testing these MacBooks out to see if all 10 of those logic boards will actually work. Really, there's no guarantees, and I have no idea if any of them are gonna work, but we're gonna find out. Testing all of these MacBooks took a really long time. There were issues from not really booting up at the first time to sometimes they had to have RAM slots switched around. There were a couple of EFI locks, and it took like an hour and a half just to go through these 10 MacBooks. Alright, so here's the status report on the pile of MacBooks. We had 10 logic boards, if you'll recall, and right here, the largest pile is the pile that I was able to get working very, very easily. And honestly, that's already more than I was expecting. That's already half of the total pile. Now, you may recognize the one on top from a cleaning video that I did back in March. This was by far and away the dirtiest MacBook I have ever cleaned. And it's actually, ironically now, the nicest of the ones that we have here. So the remaining ones are cosmetically a little rough, and I might have to do a little bit of restoration. They also need to be cleaned. Then this middle pile are ones that need a little bit more help. So I think I'll be able to get these two to work, but it's not gonna be easy. Let me give you a little demonstration. I think you can see what I mean. So as far as I can tell, this computer should work okay, but clearly it needs a new screen, and I can hear the fan is starting to go right now, so it's possible that there's other issues with this computer, but we're gonna try to get this one working. So this next one is a little bit confusing because I was actually able to get this booted into a macOS Catalina installer. It took a little while though because, well, for one, as you can see, it doesn't have a trackpad. But more importantly and more frustratingly, the keyboard just doesn't really work very consistently. So there's definitely something going on here. We also have cracked cover glass on the display. Now the other obstacle that I had to overcome to get these 5 working is that 2 of them were iCloud locked. Now that's typically something that can really derail a repair because it's very hard to get around. Fortunately, I found a device which allowed me to bypass the iCloud lock on these recycled computers unbelievably easily. Here's how I did it. The problem is, when people throw out a MacBook, they often forget to turn this off, so you get a lot of recycled computers that look like this. All we have to do is power it off, take off the bottom case. So right up top here by the heatsink is the chip that controls the EFI. So if we take our special little contraption here, all we have to do is clip it onto the chip like so. Then when we turn the device on, we'll get some red flashes. And then it'll flash a steady green. And then in a couple of seconds, we should get 4 green flashing dots and the process will be done. And that's it. And just like that, the EFI password is gone, and this is now just a normal unlocked Mac. Pretty cool. So yeah, that was a very nifty device. It cost a pretty penny. It was like 250 bucks, but I think it'll be worth it in the long run. Oh yeah, I didn't even explain these 3. They're toast. They're completely toast. I mean, there's everything from not even booting up at all to, they've got cracked display glass. One of them has a hinge that's completely coming off. I don't know that there's a whole lot for me to do with these 3, but I'm hoping that this is essentially the midpoint of the video. I'll get these 2 fixed, fix up a couple of loose ends, and we should be able to get 7 out of 10 of these things working. So without any further ado, let's hop back into the repairs and see what we can get done. So here's the plan for today. These are the 2 working board computers that definitely need a good amount of help. So I've got each one paired with a donor. So this is going to be the shell that I'm using there. As you can see, the lid is a little bit rough around the edges, but that's okay as long as it works, because this computer is much more rough. We're missing a trackpad, keyboard doesn't really work, and the display is cracked pretty badly. So basically the plan with this computer is to pull out the guts and put them over there. Pretty simple. The next one's a little bit more complicated. The display is covered in stickers, and while the glass is intact, the LCD in there is toast. But the top case is actually pretty good. A little bit better than the top case on this, which is the donor shell, and you can see this one's also got a ton of stickers. Now the problem with this one is that the display hinges are really, really loose. Now fortunately, that's pretty easy to fix. So basically, we're going to pop the display off of this one, and at that point, we don't need to take anything out of this top case because it's perfectly fine. Tighten up the hinges on this display and move it over to this computer, and we should be good to go. So that's what's on the agenda for today. Let's get started right over here. the second computer, we had that issue that I showed earlier, which is that the display hinges were really loose. This is a really common problem on this generation of MacBook Pro, and fortunately it's very easy to fix. All we have to do is remove the clutch cover, which covers the antenna and the hinges, and it reveals that the hinges are actually screwed on with 3 T6 Torx screws. You can see they're completely loose over many years of use. All we have to do is grab a T6 screwdriver bit from the iFixit ProTech toolkit, screw those back in, and we are good to go. So as of now, we have 3 completely working, all put together MacBook Pros, and then these 4 need a couple of finishing touches. So this first one needs a new clutch cover because, as you can see, it's cracked pretty badly. And while we're doing that, I'm also going to tighten up the display because the hinges are unbelievably loose. It's pretty bad. This one needs a new display. It's cracked pretty badly, so we're going to have to replace that. I've got one more good display that we're going to use on this computer, and then these 2 at the back just need to be cleaned. This one needs a new bottom cover because this one's pretty destroyed. And then we just need stuff like hard drive brackets, a couple of bottom feet, case screws, and general cleaning. And that'll be 4 of these, adding with 3 that are already done, for 7 completely repaired MacBook Pros. Well, here you have it. We are up to 7 fully working mid-2012 13-inch MacBook Pros. And the cost of all of the repairs and the work that went into this was $0. That's right, I was sent this pile of computers for $0, and I fixed them using only the parts that I was sent. I didn't have to buy anything. Now, technically, I did upgrade this particular computer. This was the one that I deep cleaned. I upgraded that on my own, but I didn't have to. I have another hard drive and RAM that was with the initial batch. So, technically, I did upgrade this one, but all of these computers cost $0 to get up and running. So I think that's pretty good considering, as we discovered at the beginning of this video, we had 10 logic boards and 13 total shells, And between all of those various parts, I was able to combine into 7 out of the 10 logic boards and 7 working MacBook Pros. Now let's go over the specs and configurations of all of these MacBook Pros. A lot of them are very similar. 6 out of 7 of them have the dual-core i5. This one has the upgraded 2.9 GHz i7. 6 out of 7 of them have 4 gigabytes of RAM. This was the one that I upgraded. It has 16 gigabytes. And 5 out of 7 of them have their original 500 gigabyte hard drives that would have shipped on these things when they were new. These 2 have SSDs. This one I upgraded, although I have another 160 gigabyte hard drive that I could have used if I was, doing this for free. And then this one had the oldest 64 gigabyte SSD I've ever seen. I think it was probably upgraded when it was new in 2012, but honestly, it's pretty snappy. Using these 5 computers with their 500 gigabyte hard drives really makes you appreciate how good SSDs are. And sure, I think it's fair to say that the condition on these machines is not really very good. In fact, it's quite terrible. However, I think it's worth noting that not all of the damage on these computers was done over the course of their 9-year lives. A lot of it looks really, really fresh. A lot of the damage to these computers was done at the recycling center from which they were rescued. And that brings me on to the story of how I ended up with these MacBook Pros. So first of all, I gotta give a huge shout out to John Bumstead, who helped me out by sending me this pile of MacBooks. He runs a company called Roadkill Incorporated, and for the last 13 years, he has been rescuing devices just like these from recyclers across the country and refurbishing them. These particular computers were rescued from an electronics recycling plant, and they most likely came from schools and corporations. Most of the devices bought by schools and corporations end up being donated or sold to electronics recyclers. Now, in theory, that's a good thing. Recycling and reuse is really important, especially when it comes to reducing e-waste. However, when schools or corporations get rid of their old devices, just like these, they don't tend to take the best care of them. I mean, imagine that you're the IT department at a high school and you are tasked with getting rid of 500 MacBook Pros. Now, most of the time, these things are going to have hard drives, potentially with data on them. Most of them are going to be managed by the school itself, and quite frankly, they don't put in the time to handle that properly in a way that would allow these computers to get reused. John has seen tens of thousands of perfectly usable computers that have been dismantled in the most destructive way, with hammers, crowbars. Sometimes they'll drill through the hard drive and through the screen with electric drills. Hundreds of institutions also don't remember to remove activation locks, take them out of their remote management systems, or remove EFI locks. All of these things can brick perfectly usable devices, even ones that haven't been destroyed. Apparently, 95% of the iOS devices, such as iPads, that are sent to recyclers are activation locked, and there is simply nothing that they can do about that, even though the devices might work perfectly well. And that's something that's going to get worse, because you may recall that 2 of these working computers had an EFI lock. Now, on computers from 2010 to 2017, there are a number of ways that you can bypass this. The device that I got reprograms the EFI chip, so for devices such as these, that were donated and certified and have been released, I can, in good conscience, remove those EFI locks. However, the same is not true when a device is activation locked, or iCloud locked, or remote managed. And since 2018, with the introduction of the T2 chip, Macs can be iCloud locked just like iPhones and iPads, which means that when those machines get old enough to be sent to recyclers, they will be useless. And that's not even getting into the fact that machines newer than these are a lot harder to take apart. So if, for example, I had one of these computers that was completely dead, not really worth getting repaired, that machine could still be scrapped. So typically, A laptop such as this is worth between $8 and $12 for scrap. That means it gets broken down into its component materials and recycled. That sounds like a good thing. However, these computers are very easy to recycle because with a simple screwdriver, you can pull out all of the materials. You can pull out the plastic keyboard, you can pull out the battery, the hard drive, the RAM, you can take it all apart. However, with newer machines that have batteries glued into the top cases, keyboards that are riveted in, and displays that are fully laminated, recycling gets a lot harder and less cost effective. A lot of energy is expended in breaking these down and recycling them, when in reality it would be a lot more environmentally friendly to reuse these things, to repair them and return them into circulation in the hands of people who need them. So as for what I'm going to do with these 7 MacBook Pros, well, I'm gonna try to find homes for each of them. Rest assured, these computers are not just gonna be sitting around in my studio gathering dust. I will find homes for each of them. So, if you found this video helpful and you learned a thing or two, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this repair project. Did we do pretty well in getting 7 out of 10 of these working? Also, make sure to check out John Bumstead. I've got his website and his Twitter linked in the description below, and he was a huge help. He basically made this entire video possible, so big thanks to him. Big thanks to iFixit for sponsoring as well. Maybe we'll keep 1 or 2 of these things and give it a really good treatment. Let me know if you'd like to see that in the comments below. As usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.